My girlfriend started an Instagram live and told her audience she will manipulate me to propose. I got on one knee and said, "I propose we break up." Then I held up proof of her with her coworker. She was left frantically trying to stop the camera that was streaming her own humiliation. I, 28 male, am, or rather was, what you'd call a supportive boyfriend. The kind who holds the purse, takes the OT pics from a low angle to make her look taller, and nods along during endless discussions about post-engagement and brand collaborations. My girlfriend, Brenda, 27, is a social media marketer whose own life is her biggest project. Our relationship of 3 years has been for the most part cataloged, and posted for her 80,000 followers. I always thought it was a bit weird, but I loved her. Or, more accurately, I loved the person I thought she was when the camera was off. The cracks started to show subtly. A little too much secrecy with her phone. Vague stories about late nights at the office with her work husband, Steven, 30M. I'm a data analyst. My job is to find patterns in chaos, and the pattern I was seeing was not good. The tipping point came last Tuesday. I was on our shared iPad, looking up a recipe. An Instagram notification popped up on her logged-in account. It was from her friend Anna. "OMG, the spontaneous proposal stream is going to be iconic. Cannot wait for Friday. You're a genius for this." My blood ran cold. A proposal stream? I clicked on it, but the message was already deleted. A feature of vanish mode, I guess, but the words were burned into my mind. Manipulate wasn't there, but spontaneous in quotes told me everything I needed to know. It was a planned performance. A seed of doubt, watered by months of small suspicions, bloomed into a tree of pure dread. That night, I couldn't sleep. The trust was already broken. I know what I did next was a violation of privacy, and I wrestled with it for hours. But the thought of being played for a fool on a live stream for thousands of people pushed me over the edge. I knew her passwords, we'd shared them ages ago for convenience. On my own laptop, my hands trembling slightly, I logged into her Instagram account. I felt sick doing it. I didn't have to dig deep. The group chat with Anna and others laid out the plan. She was going to go live on Friday, create an emotionally charged moment, and corner me into proposing for her audience. Then I found the DMs with Steven. It was worse than I could have imagined. They weren't just cheating, they were business partners, and I was their seed funding. "Steven, you really think you can lock him down Friday? Babe, please. I've been playing him like a violin for 3 years. He's so in love, it's almost sad. He'll do whatever I want. And after? When do we start our life? Just be patient. A few months of playing the happy fiancé, a messy public breakup where he's the bad guy, and then I'm all yours, with a much bigger platform for us to launch our power couple brand." It wasn't just betrayal, it was a business plan. For about an hour, I just sat there, the glow of the laptop screen illuminating the wreckage of my relationship. My first instinct was to scream, to break things. But then a different thought, a colder, calmer one, settled in. She wants a show? She wants content? Fine, I'll give her the performance of a lifetime. I started planning. I screenshotted every single message, but I needed more than text. I needed something visual and undeniable for the live stream. Her stories about her whereabouts started flashing in my mind. The work retreat with Steven last month. The yoga classes 3 times a week. I looked at the DMs again and found one where Steven mentioned dinner at a specific high-end Italian restaurant. "Dinner at Valenti's tonight was amazing. Wish you were there for dessert." Brenda had replied, "Soon. Had to tell Justin I was at late-night yoga again, lol." The date was 2 weeks ago. On a hunch, I logged into the account for the credit card I pay off, the one we use for shared expenses like dinners. I scrolled back 2 weeks. There it was, a $250 charge from Valenti's. It wasn't yoga. It was a date. I now had a piece of hard evidence. I took a screenshot of the credit card statement, highlighting the restaurant name, date, and amount. Then I took a screenshot of her text to me from that exact same night. A picture of a yoga mat with the caption, "Sue tired, longest class ever." So, I printed everything out in high-quality color and had them enlarged to 8x10s. The DMs, the credit card statement, her fake text to me. It wasn't a blurry reflection. It was a clean, clear financial record of her lies. Friday night arrived. Brenda looked stunning. She was practically vibrating with excitement as she propped her phone up on the table. "Just doing a quick live to chat with my followers while we wait for our food," she said, winking at me. "Say hi, babe." I gave a tight smile to the camera. The viewer count started climbing. 5K. 10K. It peaked around 18,000, an insane number of people ready to watch our private moment. She had clearly promoted this. She launched into her monologue. It was a masterpiece of emotional manipulation. She talked about our first date, our inside jokes, the way I supposedly made her feel safe. Tears welled in her eyes on cue. "He's just the most incredible man I've ever known," she said, her voice thick with fake emotion. "And I know our future is going to be so bright." She angled her body, making sure the camera got her hopeful, tear-streaked face. The comments were flying. "OMG, propose already? He's the one." This was my cue. I felt a strange calm wash over me. I stood up and the live comments went into a frenzy. Brenda's eyes widened with triumph. I got down on one knee. Her hand flew to her mouth in a perfectly practiced gasp. I looked her dead in the eye. "Brenda," I said, my voice steady and clear. "You wanted a big public moment. You wanted something that would change our lives forever. So I have a proposition for you." I reached into my jacket pocket. She was practically levitating. I pulled out the stack of glossy prints. "I propose," I said, my voice dropping into ice, "that we break up." Her smile froze, then shattered. I held up the first photo, a screenshot of her DMs with Steven planning to dump me. I fanned them out for the camera. "First, some content for your followers. This is Brenda, planning to secure a ring and then leave me." I held up the next two prints side by side. The credit card statement from Valenti's next to her yoga text. And this is Brenda's yoga class from 2 weeks ago. It looks a lot like a $250 dinner date with Steven. Her face went from shock to pure, unadulterated panic. The comments on the live feed instantly turned from hearts to question marks, then to snake emojis, then to pure chaos. "Justin, what are you doing? Stop," she hissed, her eyes darting between me and the phone. "I'm just giving you what you wanted," I said calmly, standing up. "A memorable, life-changing moment. You wanted to go viral? I think you've succeeded." She lunged for the phone, her hands trembling, fumbling to end the live stream. But it was too late. Thousands of people had seen it. Screen recordings were already happening. She was frantically jabbing at the screen, but her own humiliation was being broadcast in real time. I placed a $100 bill on the table to cover my drink. "Goodbye, Brenda." And I walked out of the restaurant, leaving her in the wreckage of the perfectly curated life she had just blown up for the entire world to see. Update 1. First off, thanks for the insane support. My inbox is a dumpster fire, but a lot of it has been from people sharing similar stories. It's wild how common this is. I'm currently holed up at my friend Jonathan's place. I packed a bag before the dinner and came straight here. I haven't been home. My phone has been on Do Not Disturb since Friday night. I checked it once. 117 missed calls from Brenda, 42 from her mom, dozens from numbers I don't recognize. The texts were a masterclass in emotional whiplash, from pleading to gaslighting to pure rage. I blocked them all. The real entitlement kicked in yesterday. There was a knock on Jonathan's door. It was her. Brenda. She must have guessed I'd be here. Jonathan answered and told her to leave. I could hear her from the living room. She wasn't crying, she was furious. "Tell Justin to get out here. He owes me an explanation," she shouted. "Jonathan is a good friend." "No, he doesn't. You need to leave before I call the cops. This is a private matter. He publicly humiliated me based on lies. He hacked my accounts. He's a manipulative monster, and he needs to face me." The lack of self-awareness is breathtaking. She streamed her own manipulation plot, and I'm the monster for showing proof of it. Jonathan eventually had to threaten to actually dial 911 before she stormed off. Last night, she posted a long, tearful video. She claimed I was a jealous, controlling boyfriend who was threatened by her success, that I had illegally hacked her accounts to fabricate evidence and set a trap to shame her because she was about to leave me. She was playing the ultimate victim. A small part of me, the part that's still processing the trauma, felt a flash of vulnerability. I did hack her account. But then I reread the DMs I had saved. The ones where she and Steven laughed about how whipped I was. The ones where they discussed the monetary value of my proposal. No, what I did wasn't right, but it was necessary. I just held up a mirror. My next step is practical. I need to get her stuff out of my apartment. I'm having Jonathan and another friend come with me tomorrow to box everything up. I'll arrange for a courier. I don't want to see her again. Update 2. Things have escalated. The entitlement has reached levels I didn't think were possible. First, the stuff. We boxed up all of Brenda's belongings, photographed everything for proof, and had a courier deliver it. A few hours later, I got a voicemail from her father, claiming a designer coat was missing and threatening a police report. I sent him the photo of the coat in the box and told him not to contact me again. I never heard back. The real escalation came at my job. Last Monday, I was called into a meeting with my supervisor and an HR representative. An anonymous email had been sent to HR. It was a long, rambling screed accusing me of being an unstable stalker with a history of volatile behavior. It claimed I used my data analysis skills to illegally track and harass my ex-girlfriend. It linked to her victim video. It was signed a concerned citizen. They were trying to get me fired. This was their dirty trick. They weren't just trying to ruin my personal life. They were coming for my livelihood. My blood ran cold, but I kept my composure. I can explain this, I said. I told them the truth, that I was the victim of a harassment campaign by my ex and her partner, and this email was retaliation. The HR rep, Pamela, looked concerned. Justin, we don't get involved in personal disputes, but an allegation of this nature, especially one that mentions illegal activity and stalking, is something we have to take seriously. I understand, I said. And I have proof to back up my side. I presented my file. The nuclear option. It had everything. The unedited screen recording of the full Instagram live, the screenshots of the DMs with Steven, critically, some time stamped during working hours, and the financial proof of her lies. I explained that I had logged into her account, but only after discovering the plan for the live stream and that my actions were to protect myself from public humiliation and fraud. The mood shifted. Pamela's expression softened from skepticism to concern for me. My supervisor was furious on my behalf. "We are no longer concerned about your conduct, Justin," Pamela said. "However, the fact that an employee of a competitor is actively trying to sabotage one of our employees is troubling. We can't send a legal letter on your behalf for a personal matter, but we advise you to document everything. We will also be blocking the sender's IP address from our servers. We support you, and if this continues, we recommend you seek a personal restraining order." It wasn't a corporate knight in shining armor, but it was real. They had my back, and that was enough. They had tried to burn down my career, and in their entitled rage, they had handed me a fire hose. And I knew exactly where to point it. Final update. It's over, truly, finally over. The past 2 months have been a quiet storm of anxiety and finally, resolution. After the meeting with my HR, I took their advice. I didn't want a legal battle, but I felt like justice wasn't served. Brenda and Steven had faced no real consequences. They tried to destroy my life out of pure spite. I kept thinking about those DMs where they laughed about me, about using company resources for their side hustle. One message from Steven was particularly galling. Mauling. Use the company's full Adobe license to mock up the new B&S brand logo. Looks sick. So I did one last thing. It wasn't emotional. It was a business decision. I packaged my nuclear option file into a single password-protected folder. I wrote a very calm, very professional email to the head of human resources and the VP of marketing at Brenda and Steven's company. The subject line was confidential, regarding the conduct of your employees. Brenda, last name. In the email, I stated that I had recently been the target of a harassment campaign by 2 of their employees. I explained that in their communications, which I had evidence of, they revealed information relevant to their employer. I specifically mentioned the misuse of company assets, software licenses, conducting personal business on company time, and the reputational risk of their very public scandal. I wrote, "I have no desire for drama, but I have a professional obligation to protect my own career from their attacks. I believe you would want to be aware of the activities your employees are engaged in while representing your brand." I attached the file and provided the password. Then I hit send. And for weeks, I heard nothing. The silence was deafening. I started to think I had overplayed my hand, that nothing would come of it. Then, about 3 weeks ago, I got a brief, polite email from Anna. She said she felt guilty about her role in the group chat, and that what I did at the restaurant, while shocking, was justified after she learned the full truth. She told me she had cut Brenda off. Then she gave me the update. My email had landed like a bomb. An internal investigation was launched. They were suspended pending the outcome. It wasn't the affair that did them in. It was the tangible, provable stuff. The misuse of the expensive software license, the dozens of hours logged on their personal branding project while on the clock, and the massive liability of having 2 marketing employees whose names were now synonymous with a viral cheating scandal. Last week, after a month-long investigation, both Brenda and Stephen were terminated for gross misconduct and misuse of company property. The fallout has been total. Brenda's influencer career is toast. Her victim narrative collapsed. Anyone who Googles her name now finds a wasteland of commentary videos and Reddit threads. Stephen is professionally toxic. Word travels fast in our industry. I moved into a new apartment last month. It's smaller, but it's mine. There are no ring lights, no tripods, no spots on the wall designated as good for selfies. It's just a home. There's a sadness that lingers for the man I was, the one who was naive enough to be so completely fooled. But there's also a profound sense of peace. I didn't scream or rage. I just calmly, methodically, handed them the bill for their own actions. She built a house of cards on a foundation of lies, and all I did was present the receipts.